Welcome to Nick at Night. Great to have you back with us. We have a good show for you this evening. We're going to look at former NBC Today host Matt Lauer and the fallout from his alleged sexting scandal. And we're going to touch upon Donald Trump's tweet calling for an investigation into MSNBC's Joe Scarborough. This is back in his days as a Florida congressman, if you didn't already know this. One of his female interns was found dead in a district office. Sounds like a story straight out of House of Cards, but not on TV anymore, so I guess we have to turn to real life to get our debauchery. But we'll see what happens with that. We'll also discuss the new Netflix original, The Punisher, and talk about its very sly message on gun control. Let's get to it.
But aren't there examples where it works?
Matt, you don't even, you're glib.
One of the themes on Nick at Night here that we always discuss is the corruption in Hollywood being linked and almost identical to the corruption in the news media. They share so many similarities when you stop and think about it. They wear makeup, they read scripts, they make piles of money, millions of dollars, and both industries are massively liberal. But the main thing they share these days is the number of people going down for sexual assault. Now, during the holidays, it was PBS's Charlie Rose who bit the dust. Now, NBC's Matt Lauer is walking the Green Mile. And he's alleged, mind you, to have sexted with female staffers, including a young intern. And in one account, with an unnamed accuser coming forward, said he took her in his office and had sex with her on his desk, locking the door. Now, he has apologized for any people he hurt or damaging NBC's brand, but he didn't address the allegations directly. He said some of the claims may have been untrue. Now, it's hard to know these days who's dirty. We certainly don't want to speculate and have it become fact, but here is the million-dollar question. How could Lauer have survived for this long if these allegations were even close to true? And the answer is, he got covers from his buddies in the news media and in Hollywood. Nobody wanted to see Lauer go because he was saying the right things in their mind. He was pushing a liberal agenda. He was their golden boy. He interviewed Bill O'Reilly. I think he had a Trump interview in there. He got that Tom Cruise interview, Corey Feldman about pedophilia in Hollywood. Anytime they needed a hired gun to go in and push an agenda, Lauer got the call. But once these dominoes fell, it became inconvenient for NBC to keep him on. I mean, how can you stoke the flames of a war on women while holding Matt Lauer up as the standard of journalism, knowing what we know? Well, all I can tell you is we will keep an eye on this story going forward to see what comes out. But like I've said, expect a lot more personalities to go down in that time, and also expect the list of alleged crimes to become much darker and dirtier the deeper we dig. Now, speaking of uncovering salacious media dirt, President Trump took dead aim at Joe Scarborough this past week, calling for an investigation into the liberal host's political past. Now, Trump specifically in the tweet cites the death of a 28-year-old female intern and then puts the word investigate in capital letters at the bottom with an exclamation point. Only Trump. Now, whether Trump thinks this has merit or not, or is just doing this to rattle Scarborough, I don't think it really matters. I think it is time to investigate Joe Scarborough, and I'm going to tell you why. I covered Morning Joe here for months. I came in early before the crack of dawn just to have to watch all 3 hours of that craziness that they call a news show on MSNBC. Every morning, could you imagine all of it? Not just tuning into Morning Joe, every second of it. And I'm going to tell you, Joe strikes me as a very icy and remorseless man. His vanity is off the charts, and he loves power. Why else would a Florida Republican sell out, leave politics, and shill for MSNBC? Now, I'm not saying anything happened. The intern could easily have passed away from natural causes, and he couldn't have even been there. But if this had happened with Trump, could you imagine the backlash if an intern for Donald Trump had been murdered, whether it was during his time in office or as a businessman? You know Scarborough jumped on that investigation train day one. But here's the bottom line. The media is dirty, they're egotistical, and double standards and political agendas have replaced what used to be honesty and integrity. Sound familiar? Hollywood? But seems like we're stuck with this cast of characters for now until the rest of the scandals take them off the board. But we'll keep you posted on how that goes as we go into the new year in 2018. Maybe we'll see some fresh faces replace the ones that are going down hard. All right, switching gears to a more lighter note, let's wrap things up here with this week's Nick Picks. This one might be an obvious pick, but we are giving the nod to the Netflix original, The Punisher. We're saying it's definitely a binge-worthy show, and it's worth checking out for the action alone. But I'm 50-50 on it, and here are the reasons why. We'll start with the positives, work our way down. Actor Jon Bernthal, he starred in AMC's Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street. He does give a command performance as Frank Castle. former Marine turned vigilante looking to avenge the death of his family. But to be honest, I gotta say, I liked Bernthal better in the Netflix original Daredevil. That's where the character was first put on screen with Netflix, and he started out as a villain and then quickly turned into an anti-hero and then was given his own show. Now he's able to play the tortured soul well, and he comes across as a real military man. I mean, his facial expressions are like that of an angry pit bull, and he doesn't talk a lot, so I'd say he nails it. But when it comes time for Frank to punish, that thing we're there for the punishing. We get to see some pretty awesome beatdowns usually, but there are times where the show just diverges into this sad sacchery. The sad music and women talking to him and crying and scenes where there's no action and a lot of this. Not enough kicking doors down, taking names, and beating that ass. That's what we want. And that's what we've always been looking for out of The Punisher. But it seems that political commentary has found its way into the show. Now, I like one side of the commentary. There are references to faith and Jesus and Christianity and keeping the faith, holding the fort, being mentally strong. I like that message. But where the show fails is when it tries to preach to us again about gun control. Now, at one point, there's a PTS support group full of soldiers, and the producers pick out a pro-Second Amendment, older white patriot, and almost immediately they make him look crazy. Now, they show that his fervor not only is affecting him, but he affects a younger soldier and corrupts him, causing his PTSD to get even worse. Then they reveal that the guy who's pushing the Second Amendment didn't even fight in Vietnam. He's a liar and a scumbag. So what The Punisher is telling us is that anyone who decides that they're brave enough to talk about the Second Amendment out loud is usually crazy, over the top, lonely, sad, or just a bum. So that's where the show lost me. I mean, I was there, like I said, to see a guy shoot a firearm, not hear about why he can't have it. So I gotta say, not the best start, but it does make up for it with the action. However, it goes right back into the gutter when it depicts armed service members. They might as well have been saying, this is what gun violence looks like. A young, white, Christian male wearing fatigues with a history of military service. That's not fair. And let's not forget, the main character of Castle, he too is a construct created to push for gun control. By arming this character to the teeth and giving him a death wish, the show creators, they scare the audience to death. They put fear in the hearts of the audience. So when they hear about a gun control bill in a month or two, they're going to think back to Frank Castle. It's going to be there, even subconsciously. And that was their goal. They're slick, man. They're sly. They know how to insert a political message without being too blatant. But I caught it, and I'm sure you will too now that you watch it, and listen for that in the background. Listen for the tone. You'll see blatantly anti-Second Amendment. Bernthal himself, the actor that plays the Punisher, came out in an interview and said that the show was about recognizing the gravity of gun control and starting a national dialogue. Dude, stick to the punishing. That's what we want. That's what we came for, entertainment, to get our minds off of this crap, not be thinking about it constantly. Now, I have to hand it to the writers. Like I said, they are very slick, and it's a little too preachy for my taste. And it will change people's minds, but Hollywood's been doing this for years. So if you go in cognizant of the message and you know how to avoid it, you're going to get the enjoyable parts, and it's something fun to watch. It's original, but it's based off an older character. It's got good actors. The music is very cool. The intro, I think, is especially creative, and you'll still have a good time. So, not talking boycott yet. We'll tell you how Season 2 comes out, but definitely check out at least the first half of 1 and see if you can stick with it. Well, that'll be it for us this evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Nick Jeeves. Please join us again next week for more Hollywood hypocrites, liberal takedowns, and show picks. We'll see you next week.